Hey Ringside crew. Welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode, a very special episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm Joe Panther III, and man, today is a very special episode, as I said, fans, because not every day you have wrestlers that are just, they work together, they say they're friends, but outside wrestling, they want to beat the piss out of each other. Introduce yourselves, people.
All right. Hi. I'm the nervous wrecking machine, Skye Shure,
and I'm the last Shure Cockney, Beau.
and together we're the tag team Fight and Flight,
and we're best friends. Yay!
That's why the reason why I had to have you guys on, because best friends really do make wrestling even better. It could be a double-edged sword if you're best friends and you're wrestling. Like, if you see something that you don't like what they're doing, most people won't approach the person because they're afraid that if you approach the person with that negativity, they'll be like, why?
Yeah.
So how did you guys both get into the wrestling business?
Whoa.
Do you want to go first?
I don't mind. I can go first.
I feel like I've got the most traditional story, which is a classic wrestling story, but I feel like you're a bit different. So
mine's a little more unconventional.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with wrestling at all. I didn't know that much about it. I think it was I was having a really rough time with my mental health in 2018, and I fell down just a YouTube rabbit hole of just watching loads and loads of wrestling, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And then it was, and then a year later I ended up walking into kind of half as a joke, kind of I didn't think I'd ever come back. It was a one-off thing. I ended up walking into the London School of Lucha Libre, which was a wrestling school in Bethnal Green, East London. Unfortunately the venue shut down now, but I ended up walking into there and kind of falling in love with it, and then being like, I'll go the next session, I'll go the next one, maybe I'll help out crew a show, but I'm never going to wrestle. I'll do one match, and then it kind of, the joke's gone too far now, and here I am. And I met this one on the way. So how about you?
So I've watched wrestling my whole life. I watched it as a kid. I watched it growing up. My nan used to watch wrestling when we were young, and it would always be on TV. I remember being little and it being on. And then as I grew up, I watched WWE. I was around when the Attitude Era was really big. So I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the performance, the athleticism, all the things that we love about wrestling. I think I was a dancer at the time as well. So I really liked how aggressive it was, because obviously dance is quite, you get different types of dance that can be more aggressive. But I was doing ballet at the time, and modern and tap, and very kind of specific, nice things, especially for a girl. So when I watched wrestling, it was kind of even watching it was an outlet of they get to be aggressive. And especially growing up, I think when Lita first came into WWE and she was fighting men and, doing Hurricane Rana to a dude and a moonsault and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And, there were a lot of other women at the time that were incredible wrestlers. I got in it from there, and then basically watched it most of my adult life. And then I actually came across Eve Academy, which was a school run by the Pro Wrestling Eve, which is a women's promotion based in London.
I know Eve. I know.
Yeah. So
I've been trying to work with them since last year.
Very
Even if you're watching this,
can
you please message me? I want to do a spotlight for you guys. I want to help you guys get known over here in America. Please, Eve, please.
I mean, that was I started watching Eve, I'd say 2015, 2016. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Specifically watching women's wrestling, which I hadn't watched a lot of before, was inspiring to me. So when they opened their school in 2018, I was like, I'm going to go see how it is. You know, I've always been quite extroverted, so I wasn't scared about the performance bit. But I was very scared of the wrestling bit. And then when I finally showed up and got in a ring, I was like, with good reason, it's really hard. But yeah, no, after I was hooked after my first session as well. I was like, yeah, this is, I think after the first session that we had, you have to do a promo at the end as well. So it was like, you know, stand in the middle of the ring, you're wrestling this person next week, go. And, you know, there was a lot of people that were quite apprehensive. No, I've been watching wrestling my whole life. I knew how, you know, you've watched promos for hours on TV. So I did one and I was like, oh, yeah, that's the high I'm going to be chasing for the rest of my life. So, yeah, that's how we ended up. And I think because Eve Academy and the London School of Lucha Libre used to be out of the same venue. So eventually we crossed paths.
Yeah, I mean, I actually found London School of Lucha Libre because I watched Eve.
Yeah,
I was like, this is such a cool place.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this school was also the school that is linked to Eve.
Yeah.
Like, I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down.
So
and we met.
We
had a training show together just before the pandemic.
We did, yeah.
And we both
show.
were on it.
Yeah.
You were doing a thing with Eve.
Yeah,
and
we
I
did
was
a
doing
rumble.
a thing with London School of Lucha Libre, and we met, and then we ended up hanging out a lot more after the pandemic, and that's how the tag team came about.
Yeah,
it
was quite natural. Like, we've got same interests, same, you know, obviously the same hobby, so that's you know, you see someone, you know, 2 or 3 times a week at training, you get very and especially how physical and intimate wrestling can be, you get very close very quick. But yeah, we just hit it off, and the rest is history.
Yes, it's awesome. And now you're both here on the making your debuts on the internationally known Dudes at Ringside.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you guys on. So, like, this is the best friend question and a hand raiser. Which one of you is the one that would call each other at 7 a.m. if they had something sad happen or what they freaked out about something?
That's actually
You'd call me.
I think I'd call you.
Yeah.
I think I'd call you.
I don't think we'd call each other either.
I would.
I think we'd message each other.
I would send a big wall of text.
No, I think no. So I think if something really bad
we're
happened,
voice noters.
We are
do
voice
a podcast.
I like doing the voice thing now on Instagram too. It's like,
I
feel like some of the wrestlers they see it and they don't answer it. But I'm like, I have wrestlers that actually there's a female referee that I became friends with after doing the podcast with me. I can't remember her name right now. Sorry, bud, if you're watching this. But we don't even message each other on Facebook anymore. We just do the megaphone. It's like like Stranger Things with the girl and
No, I think if you were really in a bind or if something really bad happened, you call me and I'd answer.
Yeah,
I'd probably be asleep, but
I don't tend to. We usually don't talk when we're in the crisis. We usually talk after and be like, oh, here's our podcast.
You
like,
do.
I talk more. I more do, but both of us tend to like be like afterwards. I'm like, okay, here's a long podcast of everything that happened.
Yeah,
today.
we like introducing each other, and like when we send each other a long voice note, be like, this has been a podcast by Beau because it's like, you know, 4.5 minutes of just
oh my god
shit that's happened.
Yeah.
So
oh
we
my
need to
god,
voice notes.
crazy. So out of the two of you, who is the one, like, if you're out on the road and you're doing a wrestling show, who's the one that gets hungry first?
I think me.
Maybe you.
I mean, maybe I complain about it more.
You complain about it more. We both get hungry very quick.
Yeah, we do. I think it's me.
We came in from training just to do the podcast, and the first thing we did is just sat and ate food.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I need to eat. I think I'm the more verbal complainer out of the two. So I think even if you're hungry, you'll be quiet about it, whereas I'll be like, I'm hungry. Oh my god, like I need to get food. When are we getting food?
I'll mention like an hour in and be like, oh, I haven't eaten for like 5 hours. You'll be like, what's wrong with you? Get food, bestie.
What is your food? Like your favorite food to get when you're on the road?
Oh god, the thing is, right? So I don't know what you know about English service stations, or they're not very good.
Oh god, they're probably really bad. Like the dim lighting, the blinking light with the old hot dogs.
I mean, the classic road meal is a Tesco's or whatever it is,
meal
supermarket
deal
meal deal or a McDonald's. Yeah. So like the meal deal will be like a sandwich, which is really shit. Maybe some crisps and a drink, and McDonald's is usually after. if we're on the way back because of like 24-hour, if we get out of a show late, just thinking 24-hour. But like I said, our service stations are rubbish. But also, I think when we're training as well, one of our training schools is right next to a McDonald's. So we don't have a choice.
Great placement.
So we're just like, oh, we've come out of training for 3 hours. Let's go to McDonald's. Yeah.
Like, so, yeah.
There's not really like, I think I always try and have like healthier snacks. Like, so I'll have like protein bars and stuff like that. But there's nothing that I think we ever come out of a wrestling show and I'm like, oh, I'm excited to eat that. You know what I mean? It's always just like, ugh, need to eat something.
I need to try more because we wrestle a lot as a team at a place called Pro Wrestling East, and they always have a really nice food truck. And half the time I never eat the food truck.
So it depends where you are in the card. This is the issue. If you're on a show and you're on second, you can eat your food. You can get, I've had a pizza and from the
enjoy the rest of the show. If you're not too beat up,
yeah,
or you sit there eating in the back row.
Yeah. But if you're on like 7th or 6 or 7, you have to wait, and then the food truck's usually closed by the time you finish your match. So it's a tricky situation.
So this question is pretty much for both of you. Let's go way back. What was it like the first time individually when you guys sat down and you went into the training facility for the first time? What was your energy like?
I was really excited. I think because like when I was younger and went to wrestling, it was mainly bigger shows. So it was like my first wrestling show was WWE. And I'd been to like another kind of indies, but bigger indies. So I'd never been like that close to a wrestling ring. So I think when I walked in, the Resistance Gallery where we used to train was really small, like in a railway arch, like tiny venue. So when you walk in, the ring was like literally like this far away from me. And I was like, oh my God, that's a wrestling ring. You know what I mean? I think that because I'd watched it my whole life, that there was that kind of like really high prestige of like being that close to a ring, because you never get that opportunity unless you pay thousands of pounds to be at front row WWE show, and even then you've got quite a lot of space. So to be able to go up and just touch it, it was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So I was very excited and very nervous because physically I did not know what to expect, because I think there's I don't know if you know who Louis Theroux is.
No.
So he's an English like interviewer guy who goes to different scenarios and puts himself in really weird scenarios, and he did this thing called Weird Weekends, and one of them he went to a wrestling school in the US. I can't remember when it was like years ago as well.
And
have you seen it?
I haven't, but I know.
So they basically like put him through the most horrible warm-up and like make him do bumps and stuff, and he pukes. So that was my reference of a normal person going to a wrestling school.
Jeez.
I was like, cool, so I might puke. We'll see what happens. So yeah, exactly. Carry on. But so I was really excited and really nervous because obviously, like I said, for me, the physical part has always been the hardest bit. What about you?
I was all of that, but I was only terrified, I think, when I first went in. I was
Sounds about right.
I mean, I kind of went on a whim. I wasn't very mentally sound at the time.
Excellent.
I showed up late.
You late? Never.
To be fair, to wrestling training on the whole, I'm usually on time compared to the rest of my life. At least. But yeah, I didn't know what to do. I kind of walked in and they were already doing the warm up at the time, and but it was kind of weird because I was terrified. I had like expectations of what wrestling school would be. I hadn't seen that documentary or anything, but I expected it to be like that, and I expected it to be quite, I don't know, a lot of toxic men, and like I didn't know if I could be like out there. I didn't know what the situation was going to be, and it opened up, and it's literally like, especially the school we went to, it was like bright, colorful lights and like people doing this warm to like Latin house music, because that was the tradition. It was like a dance thing, and like everyone was really lovely, and like someone there who would later actually become one of our enemies in the ring, but like showed me how to do the roles, and it was just like, oh, people are actually nice. I don't know why I thought differently.
There's not really any kind of frame of reference you have for going to a wrestling school. Like I know, like I said, I went to a dance school. It's a very different environment. I think actually more toxic at the dance school, to be honest.
I can see I can see that.
But I think when you go into a kind of, when you haven't been to that kind of thing, you don't really know what you're going to do. So now when I go to like any wrestling school, you know, you're going to have a warm up. You're probably going to do drills, like ring drills, rolls, that kind of thing, and then move on to like a part of whatever it is you're doing that session.
Yeah.
But I think like there's not really, especially because you have the ring as well, because that's the place you need to practice your craft in. Basically, you like it's better to train in a ring. Obviously you can train out of it as well. So I think like having that not knowing what you're going to do in it at first is like really scary, because you're like,
doing everything for the first time is one of the scariest things in wrestling.
It's really scary. Even now, like years in, there's still some stuff I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm scared. Like today we did a session, and like I've been coming back from an injury, and it was like doing some stuff again that I've not done in like half a year, and I was like, you taught me. I was kind of terrified. It was fine. It was absolutely
terrified
fine.
though.
Yeah, I annoyingly have that not frame of reference because I'm so terrified all the time. I made it my gimmick. So like, unfortunately, that's my frame. Like, but like also it's part of the fun for me. I don't know. It's just me. Yeah.
That's like my tying question. With both of your characters, like, did the coach that you trained with like gave you a lot of inspiration on your characters, or did you guys both like separate as friends and just go, I think I should do this? It makes me feel like I'm different than most people. Because I noticed your bow tie. His bow tie.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
How did you come up with that gimmick with the bow tie?
Right. Well, I mean, the bow tie is just kind of like, I don't know. This is just kind of a symbol of like something that's like people. There isn't a lot of wrestlers that wear it, but like that came about because I don't know. I was originally, when I was messing around with gimmicks, I was like, I wanted to do some kind of like Doctor Who parody thing. And it's like one of the doctors has the thing where like bow ties are cool, and like I don't know, that was where the visual part of it came, but like the actual gimmick came from I was just, as I said, I'm terrified when I'm doing wrestling a lot of the time, at least, and I definitely was at first. I had my anxieties got so much better through doing wrestling actually, but like the when I first started, I was a complete nervous wreck. And I was just doing a little part of a match in front of people at training one day, and it's the coach, who's Greg Burridge, he was just like, oh, I really like this kind of like scared like underdog babyface kind of character you've created for this match. I was like, oh, I wasn't doing a character, should I be? So then I made it my character.
You were like, it's all natural.
Yeah,
like,
what? Like, so now I'm trying to do the other thing of like actually being like, oh, my character is myself. So now I'm like trying to work out what differentiates the character from me as a person, and kind of get that separation to get it like to make the performance better. But it originally just came from my natural demeanor and kind of, I don't know, kind of the chaotic comedy of being someone who is a tiny terrified person in pro wrestling, and kind of that's how mine came about.
I think mine again kind of came from me a lot. I think a lot of people in wrestling, they either oh sorry, my phone's making noise. A lot of people in wrestling, I'm like, no, ignore. They either create a completely different person to be, like a completely different, like nothing like them, like, or you kind of have you and you turn it up loads. So for me, because I'm a bit of a character anyway, so I just kind of became like, Beau came out of parts of me. I've got better at differentiating the two of like what Beau would do, what I would do. But I think for me, like I didn't really have an idea when I got into wrestling. I think when you first learn to wrestle, you're learning to wrestle.
Yeah.
And then when you start to talk about character, and we had different, especially with Eve Academy, I remember Ginny came in quite a few times to train us. Nina Samuels came in, who are both very big characters in the UK. Tony Storm came in and trained us. Emi Sakura as well. So they all, big character people with a very clear defined, this is who we are. So I remember having a session with Ginny, and she was like, has anyone started thinking about the character? What do they think? So I knew for me, like being from East London is a very big part of who I am. And I feel like that was a natural fit to like where my character would go. So I started working on like names and stuff, and then I think the more you train and you learn the moves that you're doing, you kind of start to fit together. I would do that. I wouldn't do Beau would do this. Wouldn't do that. Like even when today we were at training and they're like, "Oh, do something," and I was like, "Nah, Beau wouldn't do that." So I think for me as well, I think during lockdown, because obviously we couldn't train, I did a lot of like character work I wrote like a backstory for Beau. Like, you know, I know her decision-making process like really, really well. I think trainers have really helped. Like I was also trained by Rhea O'Reilly, who again, another massive character in the UK scene. So she helped. Greg did as well, Greg Burridge. And then when we came back from the pandemic, we started training at Playfight, which is Cara Noir's school, who's another talent here in the UK. Again, massive character that is very different to who he is. So it was good. And I think you workshop a lot and you don't realize it when you're just talking to your friends and stuff at training and like, oh, should I do this? Or you do something stupid at training and someone's like, oh, I should do that. That's a really good thing for you. You know what I mean? And I think the more you know your character, the more you can fit with like what you're actually going to do. And then the movement kind of reflects the character as well. Like when I'm Beau, I move differently to how I move as me as when I'm not Beau. So I think like I think all of the schools we've been to in London as well are very big like character. Not like all schools aren't, but I think there's a big focus on character as well.
Definitely.
So,
like for sure.
Yeah. So it's just I feel like Beau's like me turned up to 11.
Yeah, and same with Skye.
Yeah.
I think the interesting part as well is that that's our characters, and we kind of came up with them separately.
Yeah.
But ever since we've started being a team as well, I feel like we found new dimensions through working with each other.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we found like new stuff to do with our character because of our friendship. So
especially
really cool.
for me, I think like when I first started creating Beau Bells, I was like, oh, she's a punk, she's really gritty, you know, this kind of like violent character who's like really aggressive and stuff. And I think working with Skye has made Beau more vulnerable. And I think that gives it an extra layer to who she is. You know, it's not just all fight. We love doing like stupid stuff as well. We like really like having fun and being funny. And I didn't realize that my comedy timing was as good as it is.
It's really good.
So I think but you've brought that out of me. So I think that I allow the character to breathe more and have more like silliness than I thought I probably was going to have at the start. I think I thought I was going to be like, oh no, serious, aggressive punk. And now I'm like a little goober.
God, my favorite word.
Mine's the exact opposite. Like I was going full down the comedy route. The original idea was like, it's someone who accidentally stumbled into a wrestling ring and didn't know how to wrestle. And would they make it out alive was the original idea. And the more I've kind of explored it, especially with you, it's like, oh no, Skye's a wrestler.
Yeah.
It's just they have this extra edge of they've got anxiety and they have to fight through that as well. But they do really want to be there and they really want to fight. And working with Beau's helped me
I think in matches,
a little bit of that aggression out. You know?
Definitely. It's pulled you out of you. Because I think when we're planning matches and stuff, it's like, you know, Skye will get ramped up when Beau is being hurt because they're best friends and they care about Beau. So it's always like, oh, imagine Beau's getting, you know, she's getting the crap kicked out of her, and then suddenly Skye's like, ah, like all the anxiety's gone. It's really like powered into like aggression. So like that way.
Like, what's it called? Dragon Ball Z. He
We
oh my God, the next T-shirt for Skye is "You're on the ground with the X's in your eyes," and Skye's
that
like,
would be amazing. Super Saiyan.
That would be really funny.
That would be really good, actually.
Oh my God! Instead of you don't get sued, but a lawsuit, the Super Saiyan, how to call it Super Bows.
Oh
my God!
Yeah. That would be wicked.
And the fire could be like different colors around you, and you're just like, ah.
You're so cool.
Yeah, I really like that.
Cool.
Oh God, it's like cartoon version of you like this on the ground.
Yeah, I like the thought.
Like the Warner Brothers with the X's in your eyes. And you're just like, oh. And it's like you put the bubble out of your mouth. Are you ever gonna help me?
Yeah.
There's a promo photo thing in there.
Yeah, I think there's something in there that we can do in a
month. Oh God, you gotta tag me in it whenever you get that.
Oh God, if anything like that happens, we're obviously gonna 100%. Be like, we did it.
Oh gosh, I can see it now. Oh God. It's like what am I being like? I get it the next morning. I'm like, what are my tags in? Oh, God, they did it. They did it.
All in advance. Like,
So like when it comes to like my American fans that usually don't get a chance to venture over to the UK to watch or go, like what like kind of move set would you guys say that you consider you guys are?
I'm definitely a brawler. Like I'm strikes, kicks, punches, like, but then I can throw in like a little graceful kick or a cartwheel or something. So I'm a little bit like elegant. I call it wholesome violence because I'm like a little bit
yeah.
elegant and a little bit gonna kick the shit out of you. Um, so I'm definitely brawlier. I'm like I was doing something the other watching a match the other day and I was like, I pulled like 15 clotheslines on a guy that's like twice the size as me and they still look good. So yeah, I will fight everyone.
I joke that I'm a low flyer because I don't do like really cool flippy things, but I will jump at people. And that is like I will jump at people and I will kind of evade and like do quick pins and kind of like I don't know. I do more kind of vaguely agile stuff. Although lately I've been being a bit more
Vaguely.
like
They are so agile. They're always like, oh, I can only jump a little bit, and then they're like spring, like off into the sky. Like, yeah,
yeah,
literally.
it's in the name, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Recently, I've been getting a little bit more brawly as well. Like a little bit more.
Picks up
Like,
with me.
yeah. Well, yeah. No, I feel like there's a lot of there's a reason why there is, apart from that we both have anxiety, which is actually where the name comes from. There is a lot of fight and flight,
Yeah.
and that's kind of crossing over a bit more
It
than
is,
people
yeah.
might realize, and I might see more of that soon.
It makes me laugh and kind of go, oh no. If you guys ever came to America, there's a team that I watch in PPW. Shout out to the PPW people. There's a team that their phrase is fight, no flight. I think that's their phrase. That's their phrase. I was like, and there's three guys. It's a stable. They're really cool dudes. You would love them. They're really cool.
Well, see, we'll fight and flight. We don't have one or the other. We have both.
Yeah.
I think
All
that's the
flight,
difference.
all flight,
Yeah.
no fight. Like all fight, no flight. That's what they call it.
See, that's it because like that's where it came from. Because like I'm the fighter, I'm the brawler, and then you are the agile flight one. But
yeah,
the low flyers.
Sometimes it's running away, but either way, it's flight. Like,
but you could make that a t-shirt and then have you like all fighting, you're like this, and have you running away, but you're flying.
Yeah. I mean, I want to do a t-shirt at some point that's like, but because also, Beau's bi and I'm non-binary, I want to do a shirt that's like both is good. Like,
Yes.
I really want to do it so bad as a.
And you could do the fight and flight in one in the non-binary colors, and the other one is the bi colors on the.
We're trying. Yeah, we're because we've got some merch at the moment. We've got t-shirts.
You got it with me.
Have you? Show it.
I'll find it.
Show it off. Show it off.
Yeah,
I love when they show the merch. Let's go.
Merch. It's our t-shirt.
Oh my god, I'd wear that.
You.
So it's the friendship.
Alex,
I definitely would rock that. That's cool.
And it's the friendship. It's our little like symbol. Like,
so yeah, we get friendship chants at shows. So we decided to be on the friendship because we bring the friendship into land.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we've kind of accidentally become friendship-based astronauts as our gimmick.
Yeah.
And I it's like
kind of
sci-fi now.
So. Around Halloween, you guys should find like a Halloween shop that sells the spaceman.
I really want to.
Yeah, I really want to do it.
With the helmet on, but have you panicking because you think you're gonna suffocate because the helmet's like a dome, and have you like.
I would so do that. I would do that in a heartbeat.
And then I can take it off and you like breathe.
Yes.
Me with a big bag. Like.
Well, no, you take it off because you think he's panicking because of that, and you take it off. He's like,
yeah. Oh my god!
Like,
yes.
What just happened?
Yeah,
all right, guys. If there was any kids, first and foremost, if any of my American fans or UK, the internationally fans that are watching this podcast today, they want to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
So I'm _ Beau Bells. So Beau is spelled BEAU and Bells is BELLES. So just _ Beau Bells on Instagram and I refuse to call it X. It's still Twitter to me.
Yeah,
Damn it.
yeah.
Everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing that.
No, and I am the same at Skye Shure. So that's Skye spelt like there, O, and then Shure spelled Shure. And yeah, same thing. Instagram, X.
Nah, Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter forever.
It's such a weird Elon.
I
What
heard
is
he's never gonna die.
Nah.
so real.
I heard it was dying, and then I was like, I kept looking, and nothing happened. And then I got rid of it on my phone, and then
Yeah.
went back, and I was like, oh man, it beat me. It beat me. No. As you showed your merch, if anybody wanted to buy a shirt, how can they find one?
I was like, oh my god, where's the merch? It's Beau Bells. I've got Big Cartel. I think loads of wrestlers use Big Cartel, so it's Beau Bells E3 Big Cartel. There is a link in my Twitter bio and Instagram bio to buy the merch. We've also got some new merch coming out, so so keep an eye on socials for that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
Awesome.
all over at Beau's. I've got like a link tree on my socials, so if you click that, I think it's the first thing that comes up when you click the link tree is the link to the merch site. So
yeah.
I want to thank you two for helping me with this Monday. Mondays are always crazy and hectic, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast, guys. I'm Joe Panther III.
Oh, I'm Skye Shure.
And I'm Beau Bells.
And we will catch you in the next one.